Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Universe podcast. I'm your host, James, and this month we are going to be looking at some news, a review of the Book of Boba Fett, as well as what I've been up to in the last month, as well as what you've been up to in the last month of Star Wars. We're going to start off this month with some news, and we have a announcement that Disney has passed on a Ben Solo movie, and from my understanding, this movie was meant to be set post Rise of Skywalker, which, just to put my two penneth worth out on it, no, I think Disney were right to have passed on this. And I would love some more Ben Solo stories, but I think largely we are getting them through comic format. So we've had the 4-issue Rise of Kylo Ren, which explores his relationship with the Knights of Ren. And we are currently in the midst or towards the end of the Legacy of Vader, which is Kylo Ren focused. I think maybe a little bit about his youth and training with Luke. And I think that kind of rounds out his character, really. I like Ben Solo. I don't like Kylo Ren. There's a lot of crossover between the two of them, which I also don't particularly like. I struggled with the petulant nature of Kylo, but I think that this isn't really news. It's Disney have passed on this. Okay, what about Rangers of the New Republic? What about something to do with Rogue Squadron? What about all the other stuff that is currently on the slate? This to me is the person who leaked it, just being a little bit salty and trying to get public behind them, and it's not going to work. Whether it incites a petition or anything like that, it's not going to work. Disney have passed on it. They're not going to be forced into something because I think they were forced into pivoting in terms of The Last Jedi into The Rise of Skywalker, and everyone hated it anyway. So why should they? And I think the thing I try and remember with all of this is whilst it's my fandom, it's not my IP. That IP is owned by Disney. They will do with it what they want, whether we like it or not. Now, we cannot go and watch it. We cannot consume the media. But in reality, all the people who are hating on it, they've gone and watched it. Because otherwise they can't hate on it. They can't hate on it in the way they want to generate clicks and engagement with their product. So they can review bomb it. They can react to it negatively. All that will do is Disney will stop. They'll stop putting out new content and they will just let it wither away and die. So I don't understand the negativity towards it, if I'm perfectly honest. And I really wish that we could just get behind it. I would say the way we did with George, but no, George got slated for the prequels. He got slated for Empire and Jedi. It's just what we do as a fandom, and I'm starting to see a lot more positivity in the fandom recently, and that is fantastic. And finding things to like instead of finding things to hate in stuff. We're not all going to like everything. That leads us into brilliantly some news from New York Comic Con, which is relatively old news at this point in time. But the Legacy book announcement, Leia and Rey, set between episode 8 and episode 9. Really, really want this. I think it will fill out a lot of the gaps and make us appreciate those movies a lot more and those characters a lot more. I'm really, really looking forward to it. That's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Far from it. Even more so, the next one, a romance novel called Eyes Like Stars. Now, I'm not a romance novel fan, but I also don't know enough about them to really say I'm not a fan. It's not something I ever look to pick up and read, but I'll give it a go. It's got those two very important words at the top of it, Star Wars. I'll give it a go. I might not like it, but you know what? That's fine. I don't like romance novels. It might be a story that is important later on down the line that I might just need to be aware of, where it comes in and where it's pulling from. But we'll give it a go. If it's not for me, it's not for me. There'll be plenty of people out there it is for, and more power to them. You will have to excuse me a little bit this month. I am suffering with a bit of a sore throat, so my voice is slightly huskier than usual. But we also have a Kelleran Beck and Jar Jar team up comic written by Ahmed Best. Yes, please. Sure. Yes, I will enjoy that thoroughly. And that was a really big hitters in terms of what I would be interested in from New York Comic Con. A whole bunch of Black Series figures were announced, a whole bunch of other things were announced, but it's not really what I'm about. I can probably find some links if people wanted them to repost on X. But we have Visions season 3 is out today at the time of recording. So let me know what you're thinking of it so far. If you haven't finished it, if you have finished it, let me know what you think. I will have probably finished it by the time this episode comes out, although I do have a couple of busy Star Wars based days with the release of Secrets of Power in Star Wars Unlimited, my pre-release being tomorrow at the point of recording, over at Ashdown Gaming in Crowborough. Look forward to seeing all those guys again tomorrow. And yeah, I will keep an eye out on the YouTube channel. While you're over there, hit subscribe. Don't forget. I will be uploading a whole load of different stuff, but I'll go into that a bit more later. Possibly the most exciting bit of news I've seen recently, and it's very much a rumor at this stage, is that Lucasfilm are currently working on restoring the original film release version of Star Wars. Not A New Hope, not Episode 4, just Star Wars. And the speculation for that is a cinematic re-release for the 50th anniversary in 2027. Now, I'm really, really excited for this, and I really, really hope that this is true. I like few things more than going to the cinema to watch Star Wars. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. And if it's the original released version in 1977, I'm not 100% sure I've ever actually seen that. So sign me up. I know George did a lot of tinkering pretty much straight away with the original trilogy, with the widescreen versions and then the more intrusive special edition versions in 1997. But if they are restoring the original cut, I'm there. Sign me up. Absolutely. Very, very exciting. But that's going to sort of do it for the news element of it. There is other stuff, but I only really want to cover the really big headline news each time. So the main focus is going to be what I've been watching this month, and that is the Book of Boba Fett. And I was probably quite critical of this when it first came out. And thinking about it, I think that is largely to do with the format in which it was released. I don't like the weekly releases, I think. I did this with Andor, and when I did my rewatch of Andor in preparation for season 2, blew me away. Absolutely fantastic. Going from one episode to the other, and the release format of Andor season 2 as well. They released it 3 episodes at a time. Brilliant. You don't have to wait a week. You don't have to forget most of what's happened in the episode, only remembering the big points. And it was just brilliant. And I think Book of Boba Fett has really benefited from that format of being able to just click through episode to episode to episode. It really does highlight how tight the storytelling is. Because I was thinking there was an episode on this, and then there was an episode on that, and then all the rest of it. It wasn't. It was all in one episode. All in one 40-minute episode. There was a lot of stuff crammed in there. And it really feels like it's making the show move that much quicker. And you've obviously got the big negative, what became a negative, of it being dubbed Mando Season 2.5. But it didn't feel shoehorned in. It really didn't. And yeah, sort of ducking off to spend a bit more time with Mando and the reunion between Mando and Grogu. Yeah, it felt a bit weird in the middle of this spaghetti western mafia centric TV show. But it also didn't. It took away from a little bit, but I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think going into this, I was thinking it's a 5.5, 6 out of 10 show. It was fine. It becomes essential viewing if you need the Mando story. But let me talk about the show, and then I'll give it a final ranking at the end. So, episode 1, we just start in such a strong place with Boba being in the Zarlak, and it's an interesting premise of him escaping and just being taken in initially as a prisoner by the Tuscans. The visuals on it, the cinematography on it is absolutely incredible. The scenic shots they do. And I don't know if they did this on location or if they used the volume, but either way, my goodness me, the cinematography on it is absolutely gorgeous. And you see Boba as a prisoner alongside a Rhodian, not Greedo. He died because Han shot first. You see them being held by the Tuscans, and you get to see a little bit more of Tuscan culture, which is interesting. From A New Hope, you only really see them as random hermits in the desert who like to just cause trouble. You get a little bit of expansion on them as a people in episode 2, where you see they have pets, the dogs, which make an appearance in this series as well. You also have reference to the women and the children as well through Anakin's interaction with them in Attack of the Clones. So obviously that didn't go too well for those particular clan of Tuscans. But we get a different look for the Tuscans as well. These guys are in dark robes, and that obviously then raises a question of how do you decide what to wear as a Tuscan? How do you distinguish them from the desert brown robes of the what we previously knew as Tuscans to the darker robes of this particular clan? Are they different sects? Do they have different beliefs? Do they have their own individual religions? What's going on? We have a lot of setup in episode 1. Into episode 2, though, we have more Tuscan culture, which is a very indigenous people to Tatooine. They've obviously gone through the period where there were seas and oceans and greenery on the planet to what it is now, which is just a dust bowl, really. We have the introduction of the Pikes, a crime syndicate that we are very well familiar with in terms of the Clone Wars and Darth Maul and Solo. So we have a lot of history already with this baddie, which is pretty cool. We're introduced to the Hutt twins. That's a new thing. That's pretty cool. And we also get introduced by their particular bodyguard, a black furred Wookiee called Chrysanthemum, who is a adaptation from comic to live action. Fantastic. Really enjoyed this episode. We do also get to see the Tuscans undertake some ritual ceremonies and dances throughout. I don't really remember that element of the Book of Boba Fett getting the same level of hate as the ritual dancing and ceremonies the Witch Coven do in The Acolyte. So I'm just going to leave that thought there, really. I don't want to go into that too much, but worth noting. We get to see Boba create his gaffy stick, wrapping of the cloth and around him and his hands and things like that, and how poignant it is and how sacred it is to the Tuscan people that this is them fully accepting Boba. He defeats a sand creature monster who attacks them, kills the Rhodian, and he protects a Tuscan child. So that's how he shows his worth to the Tuscan people, and that's what they respect. We have this moment where they're attacked by the train that passes, and Boba decides that he's going to help them out, and we get the iconic line "like a bantha," and it just makes me laugh every time I see the GIF, every time I see the meme. It just makes me laugh. But this will then cut straight into the actual train heist itself, and it's just an incredible sequence. It's a real old spaghetti western heist. Cinematography of it all is absolutely incredible. The danger that you feel in it, and the introduction of the warrior shaman, I guess, for want of a better turn of phrase, into the train heist where he's just sort of cruising along at the back, being ready in case he's needed, and then he is needed and he goes to work, and it's just incredible to witness, really. But just overall, it was a really cool train heist, and this was the sort of thing I was sort of thinking of when I was thinking back on the series. Is that's 2 episodes. We've already done the train heist. I thought that was like episode 3 or 4 in my mind, and it really does move at a clip, and it really gets things going quite quickly. Interspersed with all of this, we have Boba in his back to tank, and it's kind of flashing back to all of this information. And it's a really cool effect they have where it's kind of the blue tinge of the back to tank, and then it bleeds into a real life shot, as it were. So you can tell when it's going into a flashback and when it's what's currently happening. So you've got the Huts and Chris Santon and all the other stuff, his interactions with Fennec Shand, and just being the Daimo on Tatooine. That's all in current time, and then the Tuscan stuff is all the flashback. But in episode 3, they take it one step further, and they flash back to young Boba on Camino, and it's really, really well done. It's really good to see the Spitfire starship Slave One. I'm going to call it Slave One. I know that they changed the name, and I understand why. To me, it's Slave One, and that's what I'm going to refer to it as. So you have him sort of watching this ship come and go, and you can see the joy and the sadness on his face, with joy of when it's returning and sadness of when it's leaving. And that's, again, really, really well done, because I don't think any of that was probably recorded back in 2000, 2001 when they were doing Attack of the Clones. We then have another flashback sequence. You have the death of the Tuscan clan that took him in. They are wiped out, and it looks like it was a biker gang, Nikto biker gang, who have just rolled up, as motorbike gangs are portrayed in media do. They roll up, they kill everyone, they raid it, they leave. It just kind of brings to a close that element of the story. And it was really sad, actually, for it only being just over 2 episodes and not even the main focus. You've got modern day Boba being the main focus, but they really put a lot of time and effort into making them a people and a culture, and Boba being inducted into that. But that is interrupted by Chrysanthemum attacking Boba in present day whilst he's in the back to tank. This fight is just cool. Seeing Chrysanthemum just annihilating someone is so much fun. We've only ever seen it in comic form, and you've got the electrified knuckle dusters, you've got his armor on. It's just cool, and it's a really good introduction of the physicality of Chrysanthemum. And by this point in the story, Boba has recruited the mods to be just some eyes and ears for him, and together with them, the Gamorrean guards that he keeps on from Jabba, they overwhelm Chrysanthemum and they take him prisoner, essentially, to get or to make peace. The Hutt twins return with a baby Rancor as a present for Boba. The one thing that we learn a little bit about Rancors here, as well as in the next couple of episodes. Chrysanthemum is released and is not welcome back by the Hutts, and so he sort of runs off into town. We come back to him later. The Rancor handler here is Danny Trejo, and he starts to talk, and the way he talks about this Rancor, which we've only ever seen as a mindless, killing beast before, adds so much character and personality to the Rancor, which is a really, really cool thing. And just mentioning the witches of Dathomir used to ride them. Like we know this from legends and even from canon. We know this if you've gone into sort of the deep lore of stuff. But bringing it up to the movie and TV level of canon, the sort of wider audience, it's a really cool little detail. We see it a little bit in the Bad Batch, but again, there are a lot of people out there who will just not watch animation, and that's totally fine. If it's not for them, it's not for them. There is a chase by the mods through the town at this point in time as well, because they are going after the mayor's major domo, who is beautifully annoying. He is everything you hate about a politician, and it's really well done. He's really well acted, and the actual chase itself just wasn't as bad as I remembered. It wasn't really slow, which then indicates that it was deliberately slow later on in the series, and it was fine. It's a group of mods on Vespers in Star Wars. It's not perfect. It got a little bit of a chuckle out of me, but it wasn't as bad as I originally thought. Into episode 4, it recaps the meeting of Boba Fett and Fennec Shand from Mandalorian season 2. It shows how Boba saves Fennec and how she is modified in throughout her guts, basically her stomach area. Boba says that your debt to me is paid if you help me get my ship back from Jabba's palace. So they have to then have a break in. This is all through flashback. They have to break into Jabba's palace and steal Slave One back. And they break in through the kitchen. There's a brilliant scene that was very reminiscent of The Little Mermaid, the Sebastian versus the chef scene. It was hilarious. I just sat there with a big grin on my face the entire time and really, really had a good time. The chef droid really reminded me of General Grievous as well at one point, where he's like spinning the knives, and I just thought that's a really, really cool droid to have, because it doubles up as security as well as a chef. It was just brilliant. Just a silly, fun scene to lighten the mood. We then get them reaching the fire spray, Slave One, and we get to see that it doesn't really fit in Jabba's palace. It has to be allowed in. It has to be navigated in very carefully. And trying to get it out when you're under attack proves a bit difficult. It does not fit. But they get it out. They end up taking out a whole load of Bib Fortuna's soldiers. He doesn't really. I don't think Bib ever really knew that it was Boba and Fennec, but he would do soon when they come back and take him out. But one thing I really loved about this is he immediately says to Fennec, well, Fennec agrees to stay with him. And then he sort of says, well, what now, boss? And he goes, oh, I've got a few scores to settle. And the first thing he does is take it to the Zarlak pit, where he's just he thinks his armor's down there and he can't see it. The Zarlak grabs the ship, and so they decide they need to destroy it. Firing into this, there is a visual from within the Zarlak pit where the cockpit of Slave One appears. Beautiful shot. Absolutely stunning shot. So yeah, it all goes wrong. Obviously, they're being dragged into the Zarlak pit as a spaceship with them inside. Fennec ends up releasing a seismic charge into the Zarlak's mouth, which then goes off. We get the noise. Fantastic. Best noise. One of the best noises in Star Wars is a seismic charge going off. But then he goes and takes out the biker gang. Just straight up takes them out from a distance, flying low. Guns are blazing. Really, really cool scene. And then we go full Godfather. Really, he's going around. He's making deals with all the other families, crime syndicates, and whatnot. And it's just a really, really cool scene, or several scenes, where he's meeting with them all: Aqualish, the Rhodians, and I can't remember the name of the other species, the pirate species, Hondo's species. And at the end of this episode, he mentions that they might need some muscle. Fennec mentions that she might know someone, and we hear the first few bars of Mando's theme. So we know where it's going. And episode 5, Mando season 2.5 begins. Mando's back to collecting bounties. We have a little bit of a lore dump about what he's been up to and where he's at. He's still got the dark saber at this point in time, which I'd kind of forgotten about. He does get challenged for it by Paz Vizsla, who is beaten. I'm fairly sure it's John Favreau as Paz Vizsla from memory. I might be wrong on that. If I am, then let me know. Socials are in the description. But he goes back to Tatooine to meet with the lady with the junk shop, and they rebuild the N1, so you get a whole scene of them doing that, and they have a BD droid. I forgot she had a BD droid. That was really cool. That was good to see. We see Mando take it out for a test spin and gets pulled over by Carson Teva. Again, is he's just the Agent Coulson of this verse of Star Wars. So yeah, it's all good fun. And then it kind of goes. That's kind of it, really. It's a tight episode, and we move into episode 6, where we flip between Tatooine and I don't even know what the name of the planet is, but Luke's Jedi training planet. And we get Cobb Vanth, who returns and sort of breaks up a spice deal. So we're starting to get a bit more where everything's going with the Pikes. They are known for their spice running. Mando goes to visit Grogu. He's decided that no, he wants to make sure he's okay, and he goes off to see him. We see R2, which is always good. Luke and Ahsoka as well. So Luke is building a new temple. We get to see an Order 66 flashback during Grogu having some memories unlocked by Luke to allow him to let them go and not form any attachment or any anger or issues around it. Mando drops off a present, which is some chainmail for Grogu, but he doesn't actually see him, which is I thought quite sad. And this is quite a big deviation from the Legends Luke, where Luke is rebuilding the Jedi that Yoda and Obi-Wan were in. He's not building his Jedi Order. That was an interesting decision to make, but does tie into where the sequel trilogy ends up as well. And hopefully, my speculation that Rey is going to be the one to take the Jedi in the new direction that we are familiar with in Legends, maybe even get the Yuzon Vong, all of that good stuff. We will see. Ahsoka passes the chainmail on to Luke. We see Luke training Grogu and training himself with his lightsaber as well, which is always cool. Mando returns to Tatooine and recruits Cobb Vanth and the people of Freetown as well. But after he leaves, we are introduced into live action the appearance of Cad Bane, a very famous bounty hunter from the Clone Wars. And I'm really, really pleased that they introduced Cad. There's a lot of history between Cad and Boba from the comics and the Clone Wars and stuff. And Cad Bane just has a good old fashioned spaghetti western high noon shootout with Cobb Vanth. Looks like he takes him out as well as his deputy. And the Pikes also simultaneously to this bomb a adult establishment that is sort of bowing to Boba as their daimyo. So it's all just sort of slowly ramping up, ramping up, ramping up. Cutting back to Luke and Grogu. Luke makes Grogu make a choice where he offers him Yoda's lightsaber, which me seeing that always brings a smile to my face, or the chainmail that Mando leaves him. And if he chooses the lightsaber, he stays and trades with Luke. If he chooses the chainmail, he'll be returned to Mando, and that's his choice. That's where the episode ends. So going into the finale, again, this is the final episode. This has moved along really quickly, but it feels like there's so much to tie up. And I'll be honest with you, my notes for episode 7 are huge. So Boba, Fennec, and the mods are all preparing for war. They've got Chrysanthemum with them as well, kind of on again, off again, willing to work with them. Cad Bane meets up with the Pikes, and the mayor of Grogu arrives in an X-wing piloted by R2, and Pelimoto, that's her name. Pelimoto collects him and sees that he's got the chainmail on, so he's made his choice. Cad Bane then goes to visit Boba to try and prevent an all-out war and tries to reach an agreement. That it doesn't work. These things never work. We're 10 minutes into the episode. The other families that had agreed to stay out of this issue reveal that they've all betrayed Boba and are trying to get them out, basically, finish them off. Fennec leaves Boba at this point in time by agreement and goes and saves initially the mods. The Pikes converge on just Boba and Mando, who are left in the ruins of the club that was bombed. We get to see an amazing scene where Boba and Mando just go full Mandalorian, and they are working fluidly as a team, and we get rockets and we get jetpacks and we get blasters, knee cannons, all the good stuff that we really, really like out of Mandalorians. But there's just too many people. There's just too many Pikes. There's just too many of the other families all converging on this point. And then the mods and Chrysanthemum arrive, even it up a little bit. And just when it's looking like it's turning Boba's way, we get these giant spider droids that look straight out of Knights of the Old Republic. There were some droids in there which were pain in that game, and this really reminded me of them. Boba flies off saying that they need something bigger, and back of your mind, you know what's coming. But Boba leaves. He just straight up leaves, and Mando is there to protect everyone else. They are left running from these droids because they've got shields and there's no way of beating them. Mando and Grogu reunite. It's kind of a "what are you doing here" moment for Mando. Whilst they are doing this little reunite, you hear this roar, and the Boba arrives riding a Rancor. One of the coolest visuals I think I've ever seen in Star Wars. The Rancor can go toe to toe with these droids and rips one of them apart. I think there's three of them in total. The Pikes themselves are quickly handled. They're red shirts, they are orcs, they are every other mindless, faceless enemy that is in any big battle scene. We do get a Wilhelm scream, which I absolutely loved. I love picking up on the Wilhelm screams in Star Wars. It's good fun. Cad Bane arrives and has a face-off with Boba. They have another high noon spaghetti western shootout, and Cad wins. Actually, he wins the speed of the draw and is ready to beat Boba. But Boba has a trick up his sleeve. He still has his gaffy stick from his time with the Tuscans and uses it to take Cad Bane down and then kill him. So that's the end of Cad Bane. He's been around for many years at this point in time, and we know we got some more stories of him in Tales of the Bounty Hunters, or Tales of the Underworld, I believe it is. And I hope we get some more. I like Cad Bane. He's a cool character. He's just a gun for hire, like proper Western type character. And it's really good, really fun. The Rancor at this point in time is loose in the city, and Din tries to stop it. And there's a funny moment where the Rancor tries to eat him, but he's wearing Beskar armor, so he can't. And so he keeps trying. Made me laugh. But Grogu actually steps in and calms it down using the Force and puts it to sleep. So you've got Grogu, this tiny little thing, against this Rancor calf, granted, but Rancor, putting it to sleep. And then one of the cutest moments I've ever seen in Star Wars is Grogu then curls up next to him and goes to sleep as well. Very, very sweet. So that's the main battle over with, really. And we have Fennec, who disappears off early on in the fight, tracks down the heads of all the families as well as the Pikes, and just kills them all, just takes them all out. And it's satisfying to watch. The town is being rebuilt with Boba in charge. Mando leaves with Grogu, and that's kind of the end of the series. And then, as you're sitting through the credits, there is a post-credit scene of Cobb Vanth is in the back of the tank with the mod surgeon who saved Fennec Shand with him as well. So Bob Vanth can return. So that's a very quick, say quick, it's an overview of the Book of Boba Fett. And just throughout the show, the cinematography, the scenic shots for a desert planet were just absolutely stunning. They were just absolutely phenomenal. I really love the cinematography of it. The story is a really good, interesting blend of mafia, spaghetti western, and space opera, which is what Star Wars is. It's just fantastic. Really, really good. And I would give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I know at the beginning I said I'd give it my ranking. That's my ranking. I've gone from a 5.5 to 6 out of 10 to an 8.5 out of 10 on my rewatch. And I think that really comes down to how I consumed the media. And so I really enjoyed it. And I'd really recommend not just going back and watching the Mando episodes, but I'd really recommend watching the others. It's really, really good. But turning our attention to what I've been up to this month in Star Wars, we'll start where we always start. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Galactic Legend Leia is now Relic 7. I've started using her. I'm still not perfect at using her. I still mess it up every now and again. But God, she's good fun. It's just, if you're stuck with anything, throw Bane at it. And if that doesn't work, throw Leia at it. Seems to work. And if neither of those work, throw Slicker at it. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Fantastic. Seems to be the solution to many a problem in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I was quite lucky. I missed out on the Master Mace Windu event by I think 3 or 4 relic levels because I was focusing on getting Leia up to where she needed to be. And because there was an issue with the Master Mace event, they've rerun it a few weeks later. So I was ready for that. And as of this morning, I have unlocked Jedi Master Mace Windu. So that was involving all the Dark Side clones and Depa Billaba and Jedi Temple Guard, all up to Relic 5. And I think I was missing Scorch, who was at Relic 1 or 2. So that's done. That was a very difficult event. I had to move some mods around, which I really hate doing. Got through it, moved the mods back to where they should be. And we're all good again. We've got Jedi Master Mace, who's currently at Gear 8, and I'm starting to see some 10th anniversary stuff being added into the game. We've got a Conquest community event going on at the moment where we could, if we hit the target, get 20 shards of the latest Conquest character, which is the Stranger. I don't have any of the last 5 or 6 Conquest characters. I really struggle to play Conquest. It always just seems to come around in just a busy time, and I can never really dedicate enough time to it. But there's some stuff coming up which I'll go into in more detail next month because that will be the actual anniversary month of the game. 10 years though. This game's been around 10 years, and it's still going strong. It's a really, really good game. We have Bo-Katan, who is now Relic 6. I need to get one more Relic level on her before I'm happy. And using them here and there, Leia, Bo-Katan, they're going to be good fun teams. They are going to be sort of the, I'm stuck here, what do I do? Throw this at it. Off the back of seeing how useful and versatile these other teams are, I have started working on Queen Amidala, who is currently at Relic 1, has taken a little bit of a back seat until I get Bo-Katan up. But I've also decided to bring up Padawan, Obi-Wan, and Master Qui-Gon, who are both at Gear 12 at the moment. But in terms of the next big unlock character I'm going for, it's going to be Baylan Skoll. I am also starting the ship grind for Leviathan, which is the only capital ship I don't have at this point in time. Working through Profundity and Executor now, simming them just when it comes round once a month, getting 10 shards at a time. But in terms of Baylan Skoll, I need to get Great Mothers, Morgan Elsbeth, Thrawn, which is done, Shin Hati, and Marok up to Relic 7, I believe. Everyone is 7 stars, which was half the battle to begin with, and they're all now Gear 12. Pirates wise, just for the event, and the raid at the moment. Ithano is 7 stars, gear 12. That's enough for me. Kits is 6 stars, currently 35 out of 100 to go to 7 stars, and Brutus is 5 stars with 73 out of 85 shards for them. Just farming those on a daily basis, really, and I will do whoever else comes up when they come up. I know I said my next Galactic Legend was going to be Lord Vader, and it will be, but I'm a little ways off that. I think I've got a few other things I need to do for the betterment of my guild and also my GAC, player versus player process. I did full clear everyone in my last GAC, but that did result in 2 wins and a loss. So I don't mind. I don't mind losing if I've played. It's a bit annoying if I've just run out of time. I'm annoyed with myself, not with my opponent. And if I get beat, I get beat. It's one of those things. Still no Jedi Survivor. I will play it. I promise. At some point. I don't know when. Books wise, now this was a little bit of a mess up, mainly on my part. My read through of Fate of the Jedi, I recorded the next episode with Todd, the books 4, 5, and 6, which is Allies, Backlash, and Vortex. Maybe not in that order. Completely on me. I did not prepare enough for that podcast. And so we have a 3-hour recording where we ended up having to rush the ending of Vortex. And it just didn't sit right with me. And so I suggested to Todd that we scrap Vortex off of that and just release it as Allies and Backlash. And he's happy with that. We also had an issue with his recording his end, but he's fixed that. Thank you, Todd. Much appreciated. And so we are going to re-record Vortex. Because we are doing that, I can't start book 7 because this is new territory for me and I don't want anything to influence how I feel about Vortex. Just as a heads up, on the book side of things, that's what we're doing. And as a result of that, I just didn't read anything for a while. And then I thought, no, I need to start. I need to get on with something. So I'm about a third of the way through the final Aftermath book, which is something I had briefly started previously. It's good. I don't know if it's just the culmination of the trilogy and I haven't really enjoyed the journey up to now, but this book is good. I'll let you know more thoughts on it when I have finished it. Comics, none. Haven't read any this month. I've had a lot hit my Kindle, but I just haven't had time or inclination to sit down and read. It's just not really been there for me this month. But on the collectible side of things, I have now completed Star Wars Unlimited Legends of the Force base set. I am also doing a hyperspace set, which I have about 100 cards left to go before that's completed. But I'm also looking to get the tier 1 prestige cards. So there's probably around about 135 cards I need across both those formats, as well as a few organized play cards as well. So the base set is complete. That's the main objective. These are little side quests. I did a giveaway to celebrate 100 subscribers on the channel. I think I mentioned it in the last episode, and that was won by Elijah. Congratulations, Elijah. The packs are on their way to you as we speak. So let me know when you get them, and if I do another giveaway, good luck to everyone out there who may want to enter. Keep an eye on the YouTube. It will be on the title of the video. And if you haven't seen a giveaway and a winner announced or whatever, sort of an indicator that the giveaway is over, it is still open. So if you see it, comment. It's done via comments, but you have to mention a certain word. So you are going to have to go and watch the video. We have the next set is due out. I mentioned this earlier. Tomorrow. My pre-release is tomorrow. And at that pre-release, I'll be picking up my pre-order for the set, which will include obviously the pre-release box. I will hopefully be able to pick up a second pre-release box as well. I will be getting 2 booster boxes, a Carbonite booster box, and 1 each of the Spotlight decks as well. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel for the videos of all of that coming over the next couple of months, probably. It's a lot of video content that I get in one night, which is good. And I've also managed to sort out a copy of the Star Wars Unlimited gift box, which is a US exclusive. So that will be hopefully on its way to me shortly after its release on November the 7th. At this point in time, I do want to give a special shout out to Josh Hoyt, good friend of the podcast, who has picked up and is en route to me the Revenge of the Sith novelization, the remastered deluxe edition. Josh, thank you. I really can't thank you enough for doing that. I really, really appreciate it. And I really can't wait to receive it and look it over and see what it's all about. It's annotated by Matthew Stover, so I really can't wait to get my hands on that. And I really, really appreciate what you've done there. I haven't watched any other TV apart from Book of Boba Fett because there hasn't really been anything out apart from Visions, which came out today, and so I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. And I haven't watched any movies, so that's kind of it for me this month. It's been a good month, really. Overall, I really enjoyed Book of Boba Fett. Wish I had a bit more time to read some more comics, but c'est la vie. So let's turn our attention to what you guys have been up to. And we'll start with Todd Sedlak, who has just finished all the prerequisites for Sith Eternal Emperor in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And he's currently working his way through that event at the moment. So, Todd, good luck. Hope you unlock him soon. He is a great, great character. My recommendation for him is Wat Tambor, who is a separatist. He's the guy with the mechanical suit on, and you can just have him. He goes first regardless, and so you put a protection pack on C, and then go to town. It's really, really good. But Todd has also been reading through Skywalking the Life and Films of George Lucas. He's read Legacy of Vader #9 and Star Wars Ongoing, which is a 2025 one, post Return of the Jedi, issue #6. Brian Klein has messaged me saying he's finished the Back to War, which I believe it's certainly a Legends book. I believe it's part of the X-Wing Rogue Squadron series. And I think it's one of the essential reading where it's received a new artwork. Brian, let me know. He's played some more Outlaws, and he's put together a Lego AT-AT driver head. Do you mean the head of the AT-AT or just the minifigure head of the driver? Either way, which AT-AT is it? If it's the Ultimate Collector Series, I'm incredibly jealous. If it's the motorized walking AT-AT, I'm incredibly jealous. I love AT-ATs. I had the motorized walking one when I was younger. It was so cool. I would just literally turn it on and it would just walk across my room with Luke Skywalker hanging off the bottom. Brilliant. Wonderful. And he's also mentioned that he's put together a C3PO statue. I believe that's the Lego one as well. So very, very cool. I have currently a Grogu with Pram Lego set to put together, and I'm just trying to figure out when and how, whether I want to do it as a live on TikTok or YouTube or do like a time lapse video or something. So if you're interested in seeing that, let me know. Get in contact with the show and let me know. Hayley Hobbs has messaged me saying that she has read Shadowfall, Victory's Price, The Perfect Weapon, which is a short story, and she's also started The Last Order. I don't recognize very many of those at all, actually. Shadows Fall and Victory's Price, I think they're the Alphabet Squadron books. The Last Order is, I believe, relatively new. I may be wrong. Hayley, let me know. Audiobook wise, she's listened to The Jaws of Jakku. I need to get that. I need to figure out, because I pre-ordered it. It's only on Audible, and I don't seem to have got it. And Poe Dameron Freefall. Well, we know my feelings on Poe Dameron, but glad you've been enjoying them. Comics wise, she's read Jedi Knights issues 4 and 5 and Legacy of Vader issue #9. So thank you, Hayley. Very, very much appreciated. Turning our attention over to X, we have Dan Griffin, Dan Griffin 21, saying virtually nothing bar an episode of Clone Wars, as October has been dominated by horror films, but I thoroughly enjoyed your episode with the Charlie side. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Dan. I had a fantastic conversation with Charlie, it went much longer than what ended up being released because we went off on all sorts of ridiculous tangents. But if you enjoyed that episode, head over to TikTok and go and follow her whilst you're there. If you're not already following me, follow me. That's going to do it for this month. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. Thank you, everyone, for your interactions on social media, links to which will be in the show notes of this episode. If you want to contact me, email, probably the best, but also follow me on YouTube and TikTok and just comment on the videos or DM me, whichever is easiest. But that's going to do it for the Star Wars Universe episode this month. And so, until next time, may the Force be with you, always.